That was cool.
Hey, everybody, we are here. It's me, Brandon Lou, along with the captain, Joe Dove. We are shedding light on only murders in the building.
Yes.
We're excited. This is our first podcast, our first together. It has nothing to do with comics. That has nothing to do with Marvel or Star Wars.
Star Trek.
This, well, I've never been on the Star Trek one. But
Yeah.
yes, we have a number of Star Trek podcasts on the channel, and this is just our little thing that we enjoy. We are doing only murders in the building. It's on Hulu, starring Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez. And season 3 is here, and if you saw our title card, you see episode 1 review, but they blessed us with 2 episodes.
Indeed.
Oh my God, Joe! How long have you been watching? You've been watching from the beginning.
From the beginning, like when we were talking in Looking Forward, which is another show that you guys should be sure to subscribe to this a wonderful channel and make sure you give us a like so that other folks can see these things. But we have another show called Looking Forward, and when you brought this up in Looking Forward, where we look forward to the upcoming releases of movies and TV, you were like, oh, Only Murders in the Building is coming out. It's like, oh, I love that show because I'm a Sting fan. And I watched it because, oh, yeah, Sting's in this. I'm like, oh, let me sign up for Hulu, So I did that. I loved the first season. I am a big fan of Martin Short and Steve Martin because that's the 80s, Saturday Night Live, and that other show that Martin Short did, and they did Three Amigos, and there's so many great works of masterpieces that these two have done over the years. I was like, yep, sign me up, let's go. And then I jumped into it. There's this very pretty girl in it, Selena, right?
Selena Gomez.
Yeah. Selena Gomez. I was like, oh, she's pretty. She kind of looks like Wednesday Addams. I'm here for it. Let's talk. Let's get into this. And then it was a great, funny show. I was like, I like this show, and I've been sucked in ever since. And luckily, we both agree on this. This is a mutual loved show, and the first 2 episodes that we got blessed with did not disappoint. In my opinion.
No, absolutely not. I loved it. The boys are back in town. Selena Gomez is back in town. Things seem to have changed over the last 2 seasons. These 3 strangers who've come together because of 1, a love of podcasts, and 2, a feeling that they can solve a murder themselves and made their own podcast in the process. They found each other during these weird times in their lives. Steve Martin plays Charles Hayden Savage, star of an old TV series called Brazos. And he hasn't done much since. You have Oliver Putnam, who's played by Martin Short, who similarly just does not have much going on now. He's a producer, a director. Well, he's a director, not a producer, but he's been in the Broadway business for a long time, but he's in debt. And when we first meet him, and not much is going on with him.
Only dips.
Only debt. Yes, the man who loves dips is in debt, or at least was. And then Selena Gomez plays Mabel. And she is also just kind of like the strange oddity. We don't know much when we first meet her, but she has been staying in the building with them all at her aunt's apartment. And they kind of find companionship and find themselves. So season 3 begins in this weird state where you see Martin Short, Oliver Putnam. He gets to do a play again. And Charles Hayden Savage, he's in the play. He gets to plus his old show has been rebooted because that's the era we live in now, reboots. So Brazos is back on TV. Well, actually, it's on hiatus. He talks about that later. But but like we have these moments of seeming like, all right, everybody's doing good. Mabel seems to be the only one on the out right now. Not much going on with Mabel. Looks like she is headed out, actually.
Yeah, that's right. She got
Yeah.
the uncomfortable news of I need you out.
The aunt, I believe, now that it's been refurbished, when we first saw the apartment, it was just like this empty, vacant room. We've seen it gradually become more comfortable, and now that it's fully furnished, the aunt is selling the house,
Yeah,
or selling the condo, I should say.
correct. Yeah.
Um, which really, really sucks. Because it's a beautiful, beautiful place. There's nothing quite like being able to live on your family's dime,
Yeah.
only to be kicked out.
I haven't known that experience since I was 23, like in my 20s. I bought my mom's house and then I became my responsibility. I'm like, damn it, this is a bad idea.
We have seen murders in that room.
Mhm.
We saw the first murder in was in the hallway. I want to say they stumbled upon Kono.
Correct.
Kono. What's funny to me is that this murder seemingly happens outside of the building, which really throws this whole like series for a loop. It's like, hold on, how can it be only murders in the building if we have Paul Rudd, who's playing the star of Oliver Putnam's play? He plays Ben Glenroy, and he is the star of the play. And when we first meet him at the very end of season 2, and he's definitely having friction with Savage. He's definitely having some friction there, and then he dies on stage.
Yeah. Very
And it's
epic.
like, so that was really a weird way for season 2 to end, because it looks like almost immediately that Charles is the number one suspect, at least by the end of season 2. You know,
Right.
we get to meet more people here in season 3. Do you have any favorites of the new
Meryl
people who've
Streep
shown
blew
up?
me away. I was like, is that Meryl Streep? What is she doing? And then I realized, oh yeah, Steve Martin, Martin Short. Of course they can get Meryl Streep. It's Steve Martin, Martin Short. And
You know, round of applause for
yeah,
Meryl Streep.
I
Meryl
love
Streep is just fantastic.
yeah. And I love that she's to me the prime suspect for this season. But
Reddit would agree with you.
yeah,
Reddit.
of course Reddit.
My my my
I
my.
am
You are. I I. She is obviously the biggest suspect. She's the standout person this episode. I find that the show does not always give us the most obvious person as the murderer, though. So
yeah,
I'm not.
episode 2, it really was like,
Yeah,
oh shit, really? And then it like rewound. I was like, oh, okay.
they laid it in really thick
They
that
did.
Meryl Streep and and Paul Rudd do not get
Mm-mm.
along. There's a
Right.
problem from the moment they meet. They
But
first meet
how
at a
about
table read.
right, right. But how about that buildup for Meryl Streep's character? That little
Oh
girl,
yeah,
that little girl. I felt this really hit me because I'm a big theater fan. I love theater. I don't go as often because it got really expensive and I have a mortgage. But um, I really liked the buildup where the young girl is sitting in the audience watching the play go, and this beautiful woman starts to sing, and she's got this amazing voice that's just filling up the crowd, inspiring future generations, and then inspired Meryl Streep's character to become a Broadway
yeah,
actress and try and try and try and never give up on her dreams. And she finally got that. Where have you been my whole life? Where have you been? That's
yeah.
what she's been waiting to hear, and she got it in the beginning. I thought that was such a beautiful bow for an intro. It was like, wow, that's
Absolutely.
deep. Yeah, this is very deep.
Meryl Streep plays the character Loretta. She, this is a very bad comparison, but it
Mm.
kind of reminds me of Up. where we have like this intro to the actual season.
Oh
Like
yeah,
Up
yeah, yeah.
gave us like that little 10-minute little, maybe it's shorter than 10 minutes, but like I don't even really remember what the movie Up is about, but I remember that opening sequence
Yeah, yeah.
where with with the old man and his wife and how tragic it turns out.
Yeah.
And season 3 kind of begins with that. It begins with this little intro to Loretta and watching her try and chase her dream
Hmm.
and missing it at every point. And right now at the still trying, with her hair color faded away, her face aged. She's still out here trying. She seems a little like a last minute turn up. Like she seems like she's constantly late, but that doesn't actually hold true for like the rest of the show. Well, the rest of the episode.
Hmm.
But she kind of just seems like a little scatterbrain. But she finally gets her shot, and it was beautiful, beautiful way to introduce this potential murderer.
Yeah. Well said.
um, and that's really right now the number one suspect. There's already theories about her. I maybe it's because I'm a Marvel guy,
Mm.
Marvel or a comic movie guy, and the way that I see the way fandoms act about theories,
Mm.
and the theories are getting wild here. And I'm wondering if it'll affect my viewing of the show, because before it was just this thing I was watching like by myself or with Alicia, we just sitting there watching every frame and talking between each other. But I never had outside influence. I was never looking at Reddit or anything like that. So now for the show, I'm like looking at like pictures and I'm looking at theories. Theory here, and I don't even know how they like come to this conclusion. But it's like what if Joe?
Mm.
Hear me out. This isn't even me. This is Reddit. Hear me out. What if Loretta is Ben Glenroy's mom?
Wow, that is a theory.
And I don't even know how they came to the theory. This is just the one I saw making around. So I'm like, why? But we do see these two clash. I think the thing that threw the theorists into that loop, into that conclusion, is one we the reference of Ben's family has already been thrown out,
Hmm.
because he was working for his family as a child actor.
That's right. Yeah.
So we know that much. We also know that uh, Ben and her clash in the beginning. They seem to be introduced to each other for the first time. This is an introduction. Um, they are only aware of each other by reputation. But when Ben tells Loretta, basically he's trying to protect his spot as an actor, as the star of this play that Oliver is directing. He lets Loretta know that we are the same, and I know a snake when I see one.
Yeah.
And so I guess Redditors and theorists and are just kind of curious about, do they have a past previous to this play? Do they know each other? We know that the show takes weird turns, but I don't think there's any evidence to back any of that up yet. But these
No.
are the kind of clues that we're going to have to pay attention to. Every reference they make, everything is on purpose, everything matters. So as we build our little suspect board, it's we're gonna have to really analyze the things they say, what they wore.
Right. Right.
Um,
Especially the handkerchief.
I want to do a quick shout out to our producer, our designer, our Commander Jace.
Commander
Uh,
Jace is the frickin' man.
yeah, we don't actually have our suspects on display yet. We'll be adding suspects as we go. But Joe, can you show them the the suspects board? Can we show them the little suspects bumper? Give a little tease.
Is that the? Yep. Hold on.
Here we go.
My hands are a little bit. That was cool.
Yeah.
As
So
per
we
usual,
yeah.
it's a level of
We
quality we expect here, Spectrum Sanctorum, and none set the bar higher than our overlord and Australian master.
so we will be taking a look at suspects as we go along. Right now, number one suspect is probably Loretta.
Hmm.
Number two, if for no other reason than their friction, and they also seem to have a past, though not much of one, Charles Hayden Savage and
I don't think
Ben.
it's Ben.
Now, yeah, so now here's the thing. I already mentioned that he seemingly killed on stage.
Right.
Somehow he's back. I don't even know what happened to him.
I think.
Part of me feels like it was a publicity stunt.
Mm, I think it was low
Uh,
blood sugar.
is that what you think it is?
Yeah, you know why?
Is it
Because
because of the cookies?
yes, exactly. I think he had a hypoglycemic episode, and or pre-diabetes or something like that, and because he didn't have enough blood sugar, he just was out, and then when he fell, he probably bit his tongue and started bleeding. So that's
Okay.
where I think that went, and then and I think his my prime suspect, because Meryl Streep's character is too obvious, is his handler.
His handler. You mean his brother Dickie?
Yeah, Dickie got
Yeah,
tired of that shit. He said, "You know what?
that's a good one. When you start coming to these conclusions, one of my questions that I often think is who can get close?
Mm-hmm.
Who can actually get close to, the victim? And there's two people I could think of actually who get really close. One of them is his brother Dickie, who is
Mm-hmm.
also his manager, who
Right.
really seems to just kind of get pushed around quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Although, if we're given any glimpse, like Ben has already said that he's been working for his family, as a child actor, so it's funny to me that Dickie is his manager because to me that also means he still can't get a job.
Correct.
To a certain respect, he is still working for his family. Dickie is working for him, and who knows? Maybe there's a need for that. Ben is so needy
Yeah.
and very unaware. Like he needs the cookies taken away from him. So maybe he needs that. So we'll see exactly where Dickie and how their relationship blossoms. Because even though even though Ben is dead, not on stage, not from that shock, but he is pushed down the elevator shaft in the Arconia, which is so he gets to die twice. Good
Yeah.
for him.
Yeah.
Encore
He's like
for,
Sean
for Bull
Bean.
Run.
He gets to really die.
What is the most Sean Bean has died in an episode though? Well, like
I mean,
in a 1 hour frame.
like in Game of Thrones, he gets beheaded, and then like he has like a ghost version that also kind of dies. So I'll give them that. He dies twice. I think they're tied.
the so we see
So
so
are
we
we
see
are
him
we
die.
jumping into episode 2 now?
I just want to talk about the suspects, and it's hard to kind of talk about because I mentioned that he's alive.
Yes, good point.
But we have suspects, and we can't talk about these suspects without acknowledging that Ben does actually die.
Yeah, he don't make it.
um, so hold on. So what other suspects do we have? Because there's two. I already mentioned there are two. Sorry, I get very sidetracked.
It's okay.
Another person who I think could get really, really close is Tobert, who we don't spend a lot of time with. In fact, I had trouble even knowing his name. But actor Jesse Williams plays a documentarian named Tobert.
Oh yes.
Ben is doing a documentary
Interesting.
because he is a film actor or a television actor or both. But this is actually his first Broadway performance. So he's going here on stage for the first time and he's documenting the whole process. So we know that wherever he goes, Tobert shouldn't be that far. If there's any evidence, it might be captured on Tobert's camera. And if he's not around, and if the camera didn't pick it up, where well then we have to wonder, well, what are Tobert's whereabouts? Why wasn't it on camera? What are you doing, man? Uh, where have you been on this day at this time? So he's someone who's going to be very important, even though I don't even think we got to see, we maybe got like a glimpse of his face in these first two episodes.
Right.
But I feel like because he's the documentarian, we're going to be seeing the back of his head more than anything else. He's going to be recording. He's going to be important.
Yeah, we're probably gonna get a bird's eye view from his camera.
Yeah.
Oh, but hey, remember this moment? And then like,
yeah.
A
lot of Paul Rudd's acting is either going to be as a ghost or in the past.
Yeah. Yeah. Very true.
Which kudos to Ghost Paul Rudd, because Ghost Paul Rudd is in the mind of Mabel.
Right.
And Mabel's big thing is she used to have a crush on him when he was on I want to call it like a teen series.
Teen drama.
He wasn't playing the teenager. It was, I guess, drama, but I got more along the vibes of something like Saved by the Bell.
Okay. But there's dramatic moments. Remember the drug episode? You got to get off them caffeine pills.
This is so it's like a teen cop show.
Yeah.
It's really weird. It's called Girl Cop.
Yeah.
And so Paul Rudd is there with the highlights in his head from the 90s and the early 2000s.
Yeah. He's going to Flavor.
But it doesn't feel like they aged him down at all. It's hilarious.
Well, I mean, Paul Rudd is ageless, so like Ghost Paul Rudd versus living.
No,
you don't think he looks the same? Like, I mean, his face is a little bit.
I'm sorry, I've been watching. It was cute saying that before, but I've been watching since Clueless, and let me tell you, Paul Rudd was in Clueless. Yes.
Oh, I don't remember that. Okay.
Paul Rudd is like the main love interest in Clueless.
Oh wow! Okay, it's been a very long time since I've seen that.
Yes, he's there all fresh faced, in his 20s, going after towards the end, going towards Cher. That's a different movie. My point is, he does not look.
He doesn't look the same.
No, he does not look like he's in his early 20s anymore.
Okay,
but that's part of the narrative, though. He's there and he's in this show and he's like playing a teenager and clearly not in his teens. It's kind of like Power Rangers, where you have these like late 20, early 30-year-old somethings.
I'm in high school.
Yeah, it looks like a member of Grease.
I mean, Dragon Sword.
Yeah. So you see him there, and but that's his ghost. That's the ghost version of Ben we're going to be seeing. We're going to be seeing him with his blonde highlights. And I think it's just hilarious.
Yeah.
Like even when he's not telling a joke, to me, he just looking at him right now, it's hilarious. And it's awesome. But yes, so we have Tobin, the documentarian. We have Dickie. We even got possibly introduced to like 90 other. There's so many suspects because it turns out Ben doesn't get along with anybody.
Right.
He's had everyone we meet at the table read is someone that he apologizes to when he returns from the dead for the first time.
Right.
And hopefully the only time. If he's just going to be constantly resuscitated, then I need to know what's
No, he ain't getting up from that one, man.
No, there's no rising from the elevator shaft.
Not from the elevator shaft. That's a long drop, buddy. New York City.
Yeah.
Those buildings aren't tiny.
There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people who is on this list. And a lot of interesting characters. Normally we get like we have characters trickling into the season, little guest appearances, and we still will. Like I know Matthew Broderick is going to be making an appearance, very much like Sting. He's just going to be showing up as Matthew Broderick.
Oh, okay. All right. It's not the same as Sting.
It's not the same as Sting, but he's fine. This is better, maybe.
No.
It's like he's coming in like Amy Schumer.
Okay.
Amy Schumer played Amy Schumer. Matthew Broderick is going to play Matthew Broderick. Is
Right,
that
right.
acceptable for you?
Sure, sure.
Don't you dare compare Ferris Bueller to Sting.
Yeah, there's no comparison. One has given us endless joy, and the other one's a good movie actor. You know, it's
the But there's a lot of characters we're introduced to. All of them are upset, angry, annoyed, or just plain weird, and I want to talk about them anyway. So it seems like there may have been a romantic strife with Kimber,
mm,
an actress named Kimber. There's never any clear distinction on what's happened between them. But we do know that there may have been. It's kind of insinuated that they had a romantic relationship. Um, we're also introduced to Cliff and Donna. I'm not sure if I'm getting the order of these right. But Donna is she's one of the producers, a co-producer. This would be her son's first production, and so she's kind of like, overseeing her son's production. Cliff, I believe, is the producer. They have a very, very weird mother-son relationship because they seem to be making out,
yeah.
and that
That
was
was
really
the
weird.
weird. It was
That was
like,
uncomfortable.
yeah, no, it's okay. We could do that. He's gay. It was like, I don't think so. It's still
No,
weird.
that's not how that works.
That's not how it works at all.
Um, Probably one of my favorite suspects, even though he's never the one who does it, even though he's not even that threatening, is Howard. Uh, every season, I'm like, well, would he kill Kono over his cat?
Yeah,
Is he
exactly.
that obsessed with his cat that he would kill this guy? And
Right.
so now every time we see him, like there always seems to be like a little something wrong, and like he's never the killer. He's
No,
not even threatening. But Howard uh,
he's always on the
didn't get a
list.
role in the play.
Right. So maybe he was
He's
miffed.
here. Maybe maybe
Yeah.
he was miffed. Maybe his
And
new boyfriend was miffed.
maybe it was an
Uh,
accidental death. He was miffed. He was like, I couldn't even put it in. Oh shit! Sorry.
um, we're also introduced to other people who are here at the table. Read Ty and Bobo. Neither of them really have many lines.
No,
Um,
it's there.
but yeah, they are just there. I imagine we'll find out more about them. Bobo seems to not be able to stop. But like he's very animated, but he was crying a lot during the during the funeral. I don't know if they actually had that close of a relationship. Maybe he's just very emotional. But Bobo is another person. Like we don't even like have last names for these people:
No,
Kimber, Ty, Bobo.
no, that
So
none
we
of
don't
these
know
are
much
good.
about them.
None of them.
Yeah, it very much seems like they're red herrings.
Yeah.
Just there to throw us off the case.
Right.
Um,
It's like, look
and
over
I
here.
guess
Oh, that wasn't the killer. You know.
I'm not comfortable adding this person to the suspect list, but we'll see how things go as time goes on. The stage manager KT is also someone who's just been kind of walking around, angry, not angry, but like if you understand stage managers and you know that they're very busy, they help keep the directors in line, they keep actors in control of their time. If anything, though, that's the sort of thing that can keep her a suspect because she knows where people are supposed to be at what time. At least during rehearsals. Um, what happens outside of the theater? Not so much, but she can keep track of people's alibis and who was in the theater at what time.
Hmm.
Um, so it really depends on, I guess, where she was as we're building this list. Um, so it's that's kind of like our new cast and crew. There are probably there are definitely other actors who are going to show up later on, but for episode 1 and 2, that's it. Oh wait, and how could I forget Greg? Greg
Oh,
is the
great.
personal security. This guy is another one who stole the show with one
Yeah,
of the best
that I'm gonna
roles.
throw up the episode 2 moniker because
Yep.
we're not going to do an episode 2. We're going to go right in episode 3 because they did a double dose. So this will cover it. This whole section is going to be about Greg. Oh, Greg. If you don't mind, I'm just going to go.
No. Take it
Okay,
away.
cool. So when they went to the funeral for Paul Rudd's character, and we get introduced to Greg, he reminds me of the security guard that I know from my job. I was like, oh, is that
Really?
there's no way.
I'm so sorry.
What'd you say?
I'm so sorry.
No, he's a cool dude. It's just he looks just like him.
Greg seemed like a cool dude too.
Yeah, he did at first. Oh, the super fan. So I was like, did my man, like, I haven't seen him in a while. So I was like, did my man get this gig and then not say nothing? And then once it came out, he quit. Like, I thought there was a writer's strike, and it's a strike because they're not getting good money. Like, there's no way he would quit for that. And now when I see this dude, it's gonna be like, oh. But anyway, so when he comes on the scene and he's like shushing them and trying to like delegate where people go, and then you have the funeral director like trying to tell people to be quiet. And Martin Short, my favorite scene was like, I need you to create a distraction so I can go into the main room. And he's like, no, I don't need to. Don't do that. Don't do that. And then he starts calling him because he knows he doesn't gonna put his phone on silent. And then dude just is like, yo, put your phone on silent. And then Martin Short looks at Steve Martin looks at his phone like, really? Yeah. And then he dips. I thought that was hilarious. But we get introduced to Greg. Greg has such a presence as a security guard. You feel the emotion that he has for Paul Rudd's character, and you feel this like this sense of urgency to solve the murder because that's his dude, you know. And
Yeah.
For a minute I thought it was like, oh, you know, probably, and it didn't even dawn on me that, you know, there's the possibility that he's not who he say he is. And when they go back and he was like, oh, I've been conducting my own investigation because I'm that dedicated. And then he has like the super room of dedicated, like a shrine to him. I was like, well, that's peculiar for a security guard. You know, he has all this stuff. And he's like, oh, you know, he dropped this in there. And like, once he starts naming things and how he got them, it was like, oh no, this guy, cray cray. And it dawns on me when Selena Gomez is on the floor, and I was like, ah, no, he is cray cray. And the next thing you know, he's like, it goes from like a comedy to like Saw, because he ties him up to the basement and is ready to like rolls in a cart of like Dangerous. It was like, what's happening?
I think what tipped me off, like, first of all, like, security guards, I don't know how often they get to work with people who they're fans of.
They usually don't.
Yeah, I've been a security guard. I've worked around famous people, but like I've never like been attached to anybody. Like I was never personal security. But you would think it'd be a conflict of interest if you are like a real fan of the person you're doing security for.
Yeah.
So when we walk in and you see like all of his like collection, and I was like, all right, this is different. You know, it's like you're his security guard, but you got all this, you know, fan memorabilia. Okay,
my favorite
whatever.
His pants. Oh yeah, where's the pants from? Old Navy.
That was the second tip. That's the one where Charles was like, we got to get out of here.
Yeah, that was a
Mabel should have
realization.
listened. It's like these aren't some like pants he got on eBay because they were on the set of anything. He just has Ben's pants.
Yeah.
It's like, we gotta go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mabel didn't take the hint, didn't get the clue, didn't tip her off. I don't know why. Sometimes, like, she's the street smart one.
Right.
Like, come on, Mabel. You
should have not fallen for that. I mean, even I was suckered in. I was like, oh wow, the security guard. And it wasn't until once he got in his room, I was like, oh shit, okay, this is a problem. And she should have picked up on that because I picked up on that, you know.
But I think because she herself was a super fan, she couldn't see past.
Oh, that's good.
He's like, oh, he's like me. No, he just appreciates the stuff. He's a fan like I was. Yeah, a fan with a pair of his pants.
Yeah. Old Navy.
You know, you talk about that scene that was like Saw, and probably the funniest, but also like the most annoying thing for Mabel is like just watching Charles kind of like help him in his own torture. Like he can't seem to like light the blowtorch up. It's like,
Right.
oh, you gotta turn this thing. It's like,
Yeah.
Charles,
I
the
appreciate you.
um thankfully they're perfectly safe. And it seems like we're gonna have, of course, we're gonna have more run-ins between our trio and the cops.
Hmm.
We have a different cop on this case, but he's heard all about them. He knows all about the podcasters.
Yep.
Um, and the cops, very much like in previous seasons, feel like they have the murderer. Greg being that murderer.
Right.
Except, except the smoking gun, so to speak, is the handkerchief.
Yep.
There's a handkerchief that was being held by Ben as he fell down the elevator shaft that he was pushed down by somebody. Um, and so that's kind of the giveaway that it couldn't have been Greg,
Right.
because Greg had Ben's handkerchief. So
Right.
whose handkerchief was Ben holding on to?
Right.
Um, so that's going to be the one of the things that's going to get looked at constantly over the next couple
Who's
episodes.
hanky?
Everyone's going to be over analyzing, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
That's our job for this series. So, like, all right, so who has a sinus problem? Who who eats sloppily? Who
Yeah.
who 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 wears a pocket square? Who's just like fashionable and just carries a handkerchief around them?
Right.
Uh,
Or is it just a
it
distraction? Because
is it just a distraction?
it would make you assume that a man pushed him because pocket square, but it could be just a distraction because maybe it wasn't a man that did it at all.
Right, right. Ooh. There's a lot of references. When sometimes, and this is what's fun for me, is that because the trio are themselves fans of a podcast, that's part of how they became friends. They were listening to a murder podcast, and so they started as fans. So they also make theories, and they make them in weird, excitable ways, just like fans of this series.
Mm-hmm.
So seeing seeing between Mabel and Charles, we're like, oh well, maybe he grabbed the napkin and fell backwards as he tried to bring him down with him, or it was very interesting watching them try to come up with a scenario of what exactly happened to Ben. We'll be doing that. They'll be doing that. That's one of the best parts of the show, watching them try to
Absolutely.
pull the series apart as we are also trying to pull the series apart.
That's right.
Oh, wow. Putnam, on the other hand, he's having his own separate issue. While the two that we've been talking about, Charles and Mabel, have been
Mm-hmm.
trying to put this murder together. We see Oliver trying to keep his show together and keep his body together.
Yes.
He had a mild heart attack.
What is it? Fibrillation? I think that was the doctor called it.
I do not know.
Yeah, I'm going to say that sounds about right. It sounds very doctorful.
I kept it in my layman's term. Is that mild heart attack?
Yeah.
Tiny
No more just dips.
Yes, this man who only eats dips and now seems to be surrounded by cookies.
Yeah.
But if it's solid food, before, it's funny because I didn't think of it as a thing Oliver only ate because it's the only thing he likes. I thought of it because he's broke and it's the easiest thing to get access to at all these parties, but it's really just all he eats. It's how he keeps his figure, you know. It's like, how unhealthy can hummus be? It's chickpeas. How unhealthy can salsa be?
It's
Got a little pico de
tomatoes.
gallo. It's tomatoes, yeah.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of salt and sugar in these things, and so
Right.
I am not at all surprised that that he's finally facing some health issues for his particular diet. Because
Right.
if he didn't, we should all be on this diet. It's
The
like, why
dip
aren't we
only
on the
dips.
dip diet?
Yeah, welcome to the dip diet. We're gonna send
I'm
you a
trying to
bunch
get
of
on the dip diet.
pico de gallo.
Yeah, man, I'm eating far too much. And clearly, what I need is like a little bit
Just
of crab dip, maybe a little maybe stop by Applebee's, get that artichoke
yeah.
dip.
The cream spinach dip.
Yeah, the cream spinach dip. There you go.
French onion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like why am I overeating with these huge hunks of just like carbs and protein when I could just be
And
having
gorging
somewhere
myself.
in between a solid and a smoothie diet and
Right.
a liquid diet, just dip diet.
Dip diet.
That's the way.
The secrets that we learned from the show.
But so he's going through it. He has to keep his stress down, but he's trying to direct the show, and it's not just any show. This is his comeback,
Right.
And we've had not one but two murders of the same guy, nearly threatened to take down his show. By the end of it, we do see that the producers are going to give him a chance to keep the show up and running. And because he was already under the impression, thanks to a reviewer that he was speaking to, that his show is going to be poorly reviewed and gonna bomb. He also he has a chance with this, I guess, with this pause, with this break, that
To revamp this sucker.
revitalize. Yeah, he can revamp the show into a musical.
Yes. But how epic was her takedown? She's like, it's really sad that no one's going to see this. This is my most devastating work.
Yes, she really enjoys taking down really bad shows. And you know what? Kudos to her.
Exactly.
You got to love what you do, man.
Yeah.
You got to love what you do.
Exactly.
Most of us don't. But but if you find yourself in a position where you do love what you do, kudos to you. Round of applause to you.
There we go. Yeah.
There we go. That's
I have buttons. I pushed one earlier, but I put the wrong thing in, so I have to take it out.
Round of applause. Bum, bum. So he gets a chance to redo his show, but there's still a chance. Well, no, not a chance. It's a very good chance, a very strong chance that a member of his show is the murderer.
That's right.
So he's trying to direct, and he has to keep his heart rate down. He's got his little pacemaker. He's got his heartbeat monitor there to keep track of when he's getting too stressed out.
If you feel like you're having an issue, just push this button so we can record the heart rate.
Yeah.
So what kind of monitor is that? I got to record it? No, it should automatically say, hey, dude, you're flipping here.
Oh, we haven't reached that. You need that Incredible Hulk monitor Ed Norton had to keep track of his heartbeat.
That's right.
Like we gotta prevent Martin Short from
turning into the Hulk
out. Except instead of turning green in rage, he's just gonna like pass out.
He's gonna turn the dip.
He's gonna turn a dip. He's like the Incredible Dip.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. We have, honestly, with the exception of being a suspect himself, Charles is probably the only one currently, and mind you, only 2 episodes have passed. Charles is the only one who really doesn't have a major dilemma going on.
No, he seems to be chilling, except, his same modus operandi, which is recognize me for what I've done. Look, yes. I am the caliber of actor that was in such shows as, and everybody's like, who, what are you talking about?
He's very cringy, and I love it. Charles is great. I love Charles. I love Steve Martin. Steve Martin is just hilarious. Very egocentric. His persona, both on and off screen. It's it's great to see him doing that. But he doesn't really have, like, as far as I know, I don't know if his daughter is coming back this season. She seems fine. She seems healthy. He's dating Joy, who was his makeup artist before.
Right.
Their relationship seems stable.
Yeah.
I don't know if his ex will be returning from prison anytime soon. That could create a dilemma.
Yeah.
So it is. but he seems okay. He's not getting kicked out of home. There's no threats of a heart attack. I don't know, aside from being a suspect for murder, and I don't think he's done it because he was in the elevator when Ben fell down the elevator shaft.
Right. Yeah. Definitely, he didn't do it.
It's like, what did he do? Place a banana peel? Like what?
Yeah, that's a trap, like Home Alone.
It's, Charles is in the clear. Charles got a pretty relaxed season so far.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good for him. Very proud of Charles being able to stay out of trouble because that man needs a lot of help.
Yeah.
But you know who could make a comeback, and if Charles does have his stunt double, so maybe we'll see his stunt double come back, and
right.
It's like, you hate Charles, then you hate me.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what happens there. I don't know. Yeah, but that was episode 1 and 2. Is there anything we left out?
No, I think that's pretty much everything. We've shed light on quite a bit. There is so much fun that's going to be had in here. I do like the fact that his little heart monitor goes off when they go, "We're back. We have to do this podcast again because now there's another murder." And he's like, and it ends with that little button note. And I think that was a very clever way to end the second episode and to start us off for this third season.
I'm glad you brought that up. It is really not the show without the podcast. And that seems to be the thing that Mabel wants most of all, because she's the one who kind of seems like on the outs. She's the one who's not included. She's not in the play. She's not an actress. She's not a director. She's not a producer. She's no one's assistant. So while they get to spend all this time together, she has just kind of been yearning for a podcast. Like, she even mentions, if it wasn't for the fact that she was also in the elevator when Ben fell, one would suspect Mabel.
Yeah.
Because Mabel was kind of happy that he died, even though there was no problem. Like, she feels bad. She had a crush on this guy.
Right.
But all she really wanted was to be able to do a podcast with her boys again.
Yeah.
So it did feel a little weird that they didn't have a podcast, and now they can bring the podcast back.
Right.
And we'll see how Oliver feels about that too. Yeah. It's a lot to take in. Thank you for reminding me of the podcast.
Absolutely. As we podcast.
Yeah.
This
Our podcast needs no reminder.
Yeah. This is going to be a fun couple of weeks, man. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. And if you're excited, you know what to do in the comments right there. Tell us who you think the suspects. Who's your suspect? What theories do you have? Let us know in the comments, and maybe we'll bring up your theories on our on next week's episode. We will talk about the theories that you leave in the comment section. So I'm hyped. If you're joining us for the first time, thank you very much for joining us. And if you've been watching since all of our Disney and Marvel shedding lights, and you're joining us on this non-Marvel Star Wars shedding light, thank you for that too. Thank you for joining us on this mysterious journey. All right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think now that we've shed this light, it's time to turn these lights off. Later.
Check out SpectrumSanctorum.net for all of our podcast merch. We have an entire merch store ready to give you all the things that you loved about our podcast. And get notified on all of our socials: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and our Spectrum Sanctorum merch store. Follow us today and be sure to hit that bell when you're watching our YouTube videos so you can be notified of when a new episode releases.